If you recall last week, we were talking about peak performers, successful people, and what really makes the difference for them. One of the things that we identified is their thinking, their ability to discipline their minds and the ability to focus, on their goals. So it's a concept, that thread of thinking determines your feelings, feelings determine your actions, your behaviors. If you don't like your behaviors or your actions, take a hard look at your thinking. Here's another idea along that line. It's the idea of negativity bias. We just have it's a natural part of our DNA. Our human makeup is that we have a negativity bias. And I won't get into how deeply and how far back, of course, that goes in the human DNA. That's something that you can easily look up on Google, the idea of negativity bias. But let me give you a few examples of what I'm talking about and why it's so important in terms of our thinking. Number one, there's 558 words in the dictionary that describe emotions. And researchers have done this test many times. They put people in a room and they ask those people to attribute either bad or good to those 558 emotions described in the dictionary. And what happens over 60 to 65% of the time, they attribute a negative to those emotions. So it's a natural negative bias, again, taking place. When we look at marriage, the Gottmans for over 50 years have been researching marriage and what makes for successful marriages. And we know this idea of a negativity bias shows up in how we communicate in our marriages. Over 65% of the time, whether you're going through a divorce or you're happily married, we as couples argue about many of the same things. We argue about money. We argue about work. We argue about sex. We argue about responsibilities at home and time management. So, but what is the difference in terms of those successful marriages? Well, it's a 5-to-1 ratio. 5 positives for every damaging, negative, 1 response. Just one. And through their research, and it is awesome research and readily acceptable, it takes 5, what they call 5 positive bids to counteract that very damaging 1 negative response. So that's the concept. And that's just how powerful this negative response is. Well, that 5-to-1 ratio has started to carry over into business, and we see that showing up in a lot of business articles. Harvard Business Review took it upon themselves. They thought that was Boulder Dash. They didn't believe that. And so they were going to go research that. And when they got done researching it, it was a 7-to-1 ratio. So maybe that says something about corporate America. We need strong, powerful, positive leadership in America today, especially in corporate America. And that's where I work, and that's where a lot of you work. And that's my message, is that understand that strong negative bias and begin developing the skills and the abilities to master your thinking, to understand that concept, and how strong is it for you. And that's another part we won't get into now, but it is stronger for some people, than others. So I leave you with that. Little study, little research can go a long way in helping you to master your thinking and be the leader that you want to be. I hope you've had a great week. It's been a good one for me. I wish you well this weekend. See you next week. This is Pete Kunk, Built to Lead. Thank you.